Albert Grande here from pizzatherapy.com, legendsofpizza.com/blog. I have cornered my old friend Tim Huff, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about the hydration of flour. That's something that's come up a lot in my video. I did a previous interview with you. Could you address that, Tim?
You bet. I mean, when it comes to hydration, it's the amount of water that goes into a formulation. And when we look at that, we compare it to flour weight, so it's in baker's percent. In these days, I see a significant influence from the artisan baking industry, where we're used to higher hydration doughs. And so a lot of the folks that are baking Neapolitan style pizzas these days, I see ranges from 60, maybe close to 70% hydration. So that'd be 60 to 70 pounds of water to 100 pounds of flour. If you're talking kind of a traditional New York style crust, a lot of the folks that I talk to, they may be around 55% absorption, but I think they're leaving money on the table by not hydrating the high gluten flours to the extent they could be. You know, pushing it up to 60% is certainly very doable. In a lot of ways, I think it actually makes the crust bake out better. The more you hydrate a dough, the softer that dough is. It actually expands quicker in the oven and bakes more efficiently. So a lot of the folks that have a soggy dough, or say, hey, I have a gum line, I can't figure it out, I keep taking away water and it keeps getting worse. That's why it's getting worse, is because they're taking water away. It makes the dough stiffer. The dough doesn't expand when it hits the oven. If a dough has higher hydration, it's a little bit looser, it pops quicker on the deck when you put it in the oven, it actually bakes more efficiently. So pushing the hydration on doughs is something I think a lot of pizza operators could do.
So I've also heard, Tim, that using a higher hydration will make your pizza crisper. Is that true?
Exactly, and that's the reason that it is crisper, because it is baking more efficiently. And it seems counterintuitive. If I add more moisture to something, how could it be crisper? The reason it is because it's opening up the cell structure of that dough. As it hits the oven, it expands quicker. When you have that expansion, you're essentially developing the more little air cells, the bubbles there. It's easier to bake something that's airier versus baking something that's dense. And so it bakes more efficiently, therefore gives it a crisper crust.
Okay, great. And what are some of the flours that you recommend from General Mills?
Sure. I mean, when I think of the quintessential New York style pizza, I think of All Trumps. All Trumps is a 14% spring wheat, high gluten flour. That's predominantly used in the New York market. Right now, with the advent of a lot of the Neapolitan style pizzas, we came out with a flour a couple years ago called Gold Medal Neapolitan. It's a 12% winter wheat protein. It's actually what I call a naked flour. We have no treatment on it, so it's no bleach, no bromated, but it also has no malted barley flour. With some of these high heat applications, what they're wanting is something that reduces a little bit of that browning, because the oven does such a great job with the browning. So we took away the malt just so that you don't get those additional residual sugars in there. So those two are some of the big ones right now.
Okay, what percentage then, or baker's percents, do you recommend?
Baker's percents in with regard to what?
For pizza dough.
Okay, you know, if I think of a New York style thin crust, I'm thinking, you know, All Trumps flour. Flour is obviously at 100%. Hydration is usually around 60%. Nowadays, I love to suggest instant yeast. Instant yeast to me is foolproof. For a dough that I'm making today, using tomorrow, I'm probably going to use instant yeast in a range of 0.5% to 0.75%. I'm usually using salt close to 2%. I'm usually using sugar maybe 1 to 1.5%. And if I'm using any oil at all, a lot of New York guys don't use it, but I like to put it in there about 2 to 3% compared to flour weight, just to help in stretching that dough. It makes it a little bit more elastic.
Okay, and for the home pizza chef, because we're not able to get All Trumps, do you think Better for Bread is a good flour for pizza?
It is. That's what I use at home, because one of the things with a high gluten flour at home, you generally don't have the mixing ability to fully develop that gluten structure. So like if I use my KitchenAid at home, I really can't fully develop an All Trump. So I use Better for Bread at home. It's a 12.5% protein, predominantly winter wheat flour. But one of the things that I've changed is my wife got tired of me burning up the KitchenAid, so I actually use a Cuisinart to make my dough. I can mix that out in about 60 seconds using the dough blade attachment, and I really enjoy what the outcome is with that. So I make it up the night before, give it a good at least 12 to 18 hour fermentation in the refrigerator, and it makes a wonderful dough.
Tim Huff from General Mills, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you taking time to talk to me. And if people have questions, can they contact you?
You bet. Probably the easiest way would be my email address at General Mills. It's tim.huff, that's Huff, at genmills.com.
Thanks a lot, Tim. You've added a lot to everyone that makes pizza, from the professionals to the home pizza chef.
Awesome. Thanks.